After an accident during a race in 2021 severed A Pint of Bear's nearside hind tendon, the horse was on the verge of death, but it recovered to win the Wolverhampton race. A horse seconds from being put down recovered to become a race champion. A Pint of Bear's nearside hind tendon was severed in an accident during a race in 2021. Syndicate manager Paul Dixon said, "I was actually there that day at York. I went down to the vets. They'd never seen anything like it. The vets did what they could and then asked me what my preferred method of euthanasia was. A horse that was on the verge of death made a miraculous recovery to win the race." In 2021, an accident during a race resulted in the nearside hind tendon of A Pint of Bear being severed. Paul Dixon, the manager of Syndicate, stated, "I was at York that day. The vets had never seen anything like it when I went down to see them. The veterinarians asked me what my preferred method of euthanasia was after doing what they could. But Paul could not bring himself to have the gelding, then just put down. He said, I don't know what it was. The little horse looked around at me and I just asked the vets whether there was another way. They said that they could try to get him onto the ambulance and that they would try to find the tendon. If they could, then they would try to staple it together, which they managed to do." However, Paul was unable to bring himself to put down the gelding, who was only 4 at the time. "I don't know what it was," he remarked. "The small horse gave me a quick glance before I asked the veterinarians if there was another option. They said they would look for the tendon and that they could try to get him onto the ambulance. They would attempt to staple it together if they could, and they were successful in doing so." He paid particular tribute to Gemma Smith, who cared for the recovering horse at her partner's farm in Harworth, Notts. He remarked, "She is the Florence Nightingale of horses, and he was able to return because of her love and care for nearly a year. The fact that the vets had cleared him and said they had been so amazed by his recovery helped with our decision to put him back into training," said Paul, whose son Scott is the trainer of A Pint of Bear at Southwell, Notts. And it paid off last Friday when A Pint of Bear, with Elisha Whittington aboard, won the 8.30 at Wolverhampton at a score of 16-1. Paul added, "He was seconds away from being euthanized. It's incredible."